So yesterday, Colin Cowherd had quite the take on the quarterback situation, the quarterback competition with Drake Maye, Joe Milton, and Jacoby Brissett in New England. So let's hear what he has to say, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. If you guys are new here, you want more reactions to NFL takes and other NFL content, feel free to subscribe and turn on the post notifications so you never miss any content. But here we go.
When you draft a quarterback in the first round, there's a much greater chance he misses than becomes Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Mahomes. Much greater chance. You go to the last decade, there's been, I think, 32 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. There's been 7 stars and 17 misses. Drake Maye sounds like it's not going well in New England. According to Michael Hawley, somebody I know, trust, and respect, he said, I went to recent practices. I wanted him to be Justin Herbert and Josh Allen because those were the comps. But what I saw was the ghost of Mac Jones. He couldn't do anything right. Sorry to laugh. There's another story that Joe Milton, he was the quarterback, fun to watch from Tennessee, 6th round. They drafted 2 quarterbacks. That Milton has a wow factor. Big, stronger arm than Maye, more athletic than Maye. And everybody's looking thinking, is the 6th round guy better than the 1st round guy? But part of it is this. Take out the Randy Moss years, 3 years. Even with Brady, Gronk, and Edelman and no Moss, New England was never an offensive culture. It was briefly with Randy.
Okay, let me just stop it right here to talk on what he started this video off with. First off, we have to remember that we are in the second week of Patriots training camp. And I think Drake Maye has now had 3 practices total in pads. I believe this video was made after there had been 2 practices. Maybe the 3rd one had just taken place. But this reminds me a lot of some of Colin Cowherd's takes last year around this time when it came to Jordan Love. He talked about a individual he knew who had been around Jordan Love for years, and that this individual had told him that in his 3 years or his few years in Green Bay, he had seen nothing special, basically no wow factor from Jordan Love in those 3 years, and Colin used that to say that, Jordan Love is probably not going to work out. Then as the season went on, a few weeks in, Jordan Love's struggling. Colin Cowherd said basically he's a backup quarterback. There's nothing special. And so this feels to me like another circumstance where he's coming to a conclusion on a player way too early. Already saying that Joe Milton could, I'll get to that part. He hasn't said that quote yet, which I put in the thumbnail. But he'll get there. I just think to judge a quarterback after a few padded practices, their first time in the NFL it's way too early. It's way too early. And I came across a clip from Tyreek Hill from a few years ago, and he said that when Patrick Mahomes came to Kansas City, that he thought he was trash initially. So that's basically a sign that we can't judge these quarterbacks way too early. Anyways, let's hear the rest of this.
Randy Moss. But it was a do-your-job, sacrifice for the team, even paycheck. It was never an organization of offensive creativity, abundance, joy. That's Kansas City. That's San Francisco. That's the Rams. Sometimes it's Philadelphia. It's not New England. Here's a prime example. With the greatest quarterback in the history of the sport, they went to 9 Super Bowls in New England. Do you know how many touchdowns they scored in 9 first quarters? None. In fact, in 9 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, they scored total 3 points in the first quarter. Why? Because they were always a play it safe, don't make mistakes, hyper efficiency, will outsmart and outcoach them. Again, the Randy Moss years briefly were different. So Drake Maye comes into an organization. They don't know offense. It's a defensive culture. And they hired Gerard Mayo, who's Belichick. Mantras, terms, belief system. So this was always going to be the toughest lift for any of these quarterbacks. I said, whoever Minnesota gets, J.J. McCarthy, is bound to succeed. Great offensive head coach, great left tackle, a superstar receiver, good running backs, capable O-line. J.J. McCarthy would have to stink to not be eventually pretty successful. and whoever goes to New England will struggle.
There is no doubt that this isn't the best situation for a quarterback. I do not disagree with that. Their receiver core is shaky. Their offensive line isn't the best, so there's some truth there.
PFF ranks New England's wide receiving core, all Belichick drafted, as 32nd.
And just there, when it comes to their receiver core, they're definitely not all Belichick drafted. I was just, looking through. KJ Osborne, not Belichick drafted. Kendrick Bourne, not. Juju Smith-Schuster, not. Jalen Polk, not. Javon Baker this year, not. Jalen Reagor, not. So this isn't really a receiver core drafted by Belichick. Of course, some of these guys were around when Bill Belichick was here. A few were drafted, but yeah, anyways.
PFF ranks their running back group, all Belichick drafted, as 25th.
Antonio Gibson was added here. Also, just to note, also not Belichick drafted, but of course Ramondre Stevenson was.
Their offensive line as 28. What does that tell you? That the 6th-round quarterback, Joe Milton, is going to probably win the job because...
Now, that's the part I don't think that's a reality, that he's probably going to win the job. It sounds to me from the reports that have come out of Patriots training camp that Jacoby Brissett is the favorite to win the job, and I think it seems like the battle is between Brissett and Drake Maye. And earlier in camp, Jared Mayo said that, they were giving Drake Maye a chance, and some of the first few days, I believe they were splitting pretty evenly the first team reps. And Jacoby Brissett is a guy who's been in the league for a while, 31 years old, and there's no doubt that he's probably a more polished player at this point in his career than Drake Maye, who is already known as a raw prospect, who is in his first couple weeks of NFL training camp in his first season of his entire career. So it sounds like Brissett is probably going to win the job, and I have heard that Milton has looked good from different reporters, but I don't believe he's going to win this job.
He's the athlete. He's the bigger, stronger, faster, more dynamic athlete. And they don't have any at wide receiver, tight end, at running back. So when I read this story, my take is, Joe Milton will make plays. Listen, Kirk Cousins and RG3 back in 2012 got drafted by Washington. And they figured out by year 2, Cousins is the guy. I think that's what we're looking at now. I don't think I'm overreacting. I think when you look at the historical culture of New England, and then they basically hire Belichick's favorite guy, and Belichick's guy is a defensive guy, and defensive coaches see the world from a don't make mistakes, efficient, run the ball when you have a lead, eat up the clock. That kind of mantra could work with a Josh Allen level player. But Josh is a playmaker. He can overcome some of that conservative coaching. C.J. Stroud's got a conservative coach. C.J. Stroud's talented enough to overcome that. But Drake Maye at his best was a project. Everybody knew that. Bad feet, not refined, miss easy throws. Got some Herbert qualities. There's no question. I leaned on my NFL execs. What do you see? They said there's a little Herbert. Big, tall, good arm, pretty smart kid. But when you enter a defensive culture where they just hired another defensive coach, they have no playmakers. Don't be shocked if Joe Milton wins this job or gets a lot of snaps this year.
All right, so it does sound to me like he's overreacting a bit, being this early in training camp with them only being in the second week of training camp. So, and I'm not saying here that Drake Maye is going to for sure be a star quarterback in the NFL. I just think that we have to give these rookies time to develop and grow. And he brought up the fact that it's known that Maye is a project, more of a raw prospect. And so I think it's to be expected that he's going to have some struggles. I even saw that, I think it was yesterday, he had a bounce back day at practice. So once again, I think that we have to give this guy time. It sounds like Brissett will probably win the starting job, and that maybe Maye can take some strides forward these next couple weeks in practice, and we'll see what the Patriots' plan is going forward. They don't have a great offense around them. There's no doubt about that. And so I think we just need to give this guy and other rookie quarterbacks time to develop and grow before, we have a final idea of what their entire career is going to be like. But if you guys want more NFL content like this, where I react to different takes from different sports commentators, also covering other NFL topics, feel free to subscribe. And if you turn on the post notifications, that way you'll get notified anytime I make any kind of this NFL content. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.